We are asked to verify the identity again. I'm going to go ahead and start with the left-hand side. Usually multiplication is a little bit easier to simplify. And I see where are we trying to go? We're trying to turn this multiplication of secant squared times cosecant squared into secant squared plus cosecant squared. So I'm feeling like, well, do I really want to get rid of one of these? But I need to. So just pick one to make a substitution into. And I see that we have these trig functions are squared, so that makes me think of those Pythagorean identities again. So I'm going to look for a Pythagorean identity with either secant squared or cosecant squared. Really, you could start with either one and eventually get to the same answer. So just make a choice here. I'm going to choose secant squared. And the identity that I'm thinking of is 1 plus tangent squared of x equals secant squared of x. And so I'm going to make this substitution of 1 plus tangent in for secant. So writing that in, 1 plus tangent squared of x, and that whole thing is going to multiply my cosecant squared of x. So now at this point I'm thinking, well, maybe it would be a good idea to go ahead and distribute, because I do want addition here. So we've made some progress into getting the addition sign into our identity here. So distributing, I would get cosecant squared of x plus cosecant squared of x times tangent squared of x. And then I have to figure out what am I going to massage in order to get it into something else. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this cosecant squared x alone because I do want that to be inside my identity. And what I'm going to go ahead and work on instead is this, and think about how can I get that into the secant squared. So what I'm going to do is express this in terms of sine and cosine. So I'm going to leave the cosecant squared of x alone, and I'm going to go ahead and rewrite the second term in terms of sine and cosine. So cosecant squared of x would be equivalent to 1 over sine squared of x, and that is going to multiply tangent squared of x. And I know that tangent is equivalent to sine over cosine, but I just need to make sure those are both squared, and we're taking the sine of something. So at that point, I see that we have some canceling that's going to happen. This sine squared of x is going to be divided by this sine squared of x, and that's going to divide to 1. So simplifying, we get cosecant squared of x equals 1 over cosine squared of x. And I also see that we could express our cosine squared of x as secant. So let's go ahead and do that. So cosecant squared of x plus secant squared of x, and we're almost there. I just need to change the order so that it's exactly my right hand side, but we can do that because this is addition. So secant squared of x plus cosecant squared of x, and at that point we have verified our identity.